It's a Thursday, which means we have a new lap time challenge inside GT7 for the next 2 weeks, and whilst definitely on the surface this could have been an incredibly cool one, unfortunately it's turned into a bit of a mess. So for you guys out there that like tuning just like me, you'll probably know exactly what I'm going to say here or make mention of. What is one of the worst driving feelings in GT7? Well, if you said a stock suspension from a road car mixed with a racing compound of tyre, then you would be absolutely correct. Unfortunately, that is the case for this one, in which the Ford Shelby 350R ends up with a racing set of tyres on the default settings for the vehicle, and unfortunately it feels incredibly janky and not really natural whatsoever. So here is an overview of the lap time challenge. This is going to be at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the next 2 weeks, featuring the Ford Shelby GT350R from 2016, and you may have spotted it, but they did make a typo under the car, naming it the Shelby GT350 from 1965. I'm not sure if they'll go back and correct this, but at the time of entering it was wrong. So let's have a look at the rest of the details then. Top 3% is gold, top 5% is silver, and top 10% is bronze. Of course, the track is Laguna Seca. Your entry period will finish on the 15th of May 2025. Usable tyres and types, this is where it gets a bit weird. Racing hard for this one on a completely default car, and as you can see, wide body and nitrous prohibited. Of course, the specified car is the Ford Shelby GT350R from 2016. BOP is set to low speed. Car use can be a garage car or event specified, and car settings are specified. Track limits are completely normal, and as we can see, both penalty settings are set to on to invalidate your lap time. As mentioned, for me this could have been absolutely fine, but the racing hards on a stock car is just really janky. So let's move in to the general tips then for this time trial. So let's begin then with perhaps one of the easiest ones of the bunch, and that is actually when it comes to the assist. The main thing you want to do here is turn on counter steering assistance to weak. Keep the rest of the assists on. This will reduce the jankiness just slightly. Other thing is to use a manual transmission. It is absolutely necessary to get the best exit from corner when it comes to this car, and specifically how it's laid out with those racing hard compounds, so I fully recommend it. Next up is beware of the curbs. There is some incredible sausage curbs on this track which love to flip your car onto two wheels and send you piling off into the gravel trap, so be incredibly aware of them. And next up is going to be the track limits. They are incredibly strict here, to the point where you might think it's a natural line and all of a sudden it will completely invalidate your lap time. It happened to me 5 laps in a row. It was incredibly frustrating, and obviously the kind of gap between what is a clean lap and what is a penalty lap is very minuscule for this one. I honestly found myself for the first time in a long time absolutely raging at this lap time challenge, to the point where I just gave up. I was getting faster laps, but then I was getting the most ridiculous penalties. Let's move in to the car then. So of course we're using the Ford Shelby GT350R from 2016. Now by default this has a PP rating of 575.47, a displacement of 5,163cc, FR drivetrain, 525 brake horsepower, weighing a fairly hefty 1,658 kilograms, and it's naturally aspirated. Now if you want to buy the car, it's 75,000 credits plus your racing hards, or again you can just enter from the actual lap time challenge itself. So let's talk more in detail about this car then. So of course we're running the racing hard compound of tyres here. Although it does allow intermediates and wets, they are completely unnecessary. However, those racing hards on a stock car is just one of the worst feelings you can have inside of GT7, and you'll probably know what I mean if you've gone to a very standard road car, especially something with a lot less power than this, and then put on a bunch of racing compound tyres, whether that's hard, medium or soft, and try to drive it. It makes the suspension incredibly janky, which is why I recommend the counter steering assistance to weak. It will reduce it, it's not perfect, but it is something just to make it feel a bit better. Now it does have insanely aggressive acceleration, so just be aware when you put that power down, it's really going to put it down. It does have a very nice weight to it. I feel like there is a nice flow to this car in how it feels when you're turning in and getting on exit of corners. It does have very good brakes for the car itself, does a great job of stopping it in time, and it does have a good top speed. Overall, this could have been an incredible lap time challenge in a car that I genuinely really enjoy. Just unfortunately, the racing hard compound of tyres really lets it down for the natural feeling of this car. If the car just featured a racing suspension, it could have been absolutely incredible, but unfortunately it doesn't, so let's move into the lap then. So this is my current fastest valid lap. Unfortunately, I did go about 5 to 6 tenths quicker, but a tiny little runoff completely invalidated my lap time, and at that point I just quit out. So you're going to head over to the right hand side and brake when you see the little marking boards on your right. You're then going to get the car into 6th gear and sort of let the car drift out. Then slowly bring the power back in and get ready to get a decent, nice, clean exit. Get yourself on the curb, shift into 3rd and run back over to the left hand side. Now once again, you're going to see the number boards here. Brake at number 2 and turn in at the 1 board. Keep it in 3rd gear and just lift off and gently bring that throttle back in. Again, we're trying to stop the car getting as much grip as possible, because that way it will try and then slingshot you around and it'll just feel awful. Turn in on the final board on the right once again, maintaining 3rd gear, and then power down nice and early for this one. Now go up the gears and get yourself over to the right hand side. Once again, looking for the boards, brake at number 3 board, and then bring yourself over to the left. Now as you can see, we're going to go out nice and wide, a little bit of that jankiness on show there, and keep on the curb on the right hand side. Turn in at the 1 board after braking at the 2, get it nice and clean and try not to run it, although it's a very fine line, just slightly too much over and it will invalidate you. Time for the corkscrew then. Brake just in the middle of the sort of end left and the starting right. At that point, get your car into 2nd gear, bring yourself up over the curb and then short shift into 3rd right at the bottom of the corkscrew. This will maintain your traction on exit. Back over to the right hand side and get ready to brake and lift. Now you'll probably feel the rear of the car get away from you here. Again, just tap the brakes if you need to and then power out as early as you feel comfortable. Get yourself on the curb, bring yourself back to the left hand side, brake just before the 2 board and turn in at the 1. Once again, maintaining 3rd gear. Unfortunately, it wasn't the most perfect exit, but it was clean enough. I'm going to get myself back on that curb and back over to the right. Braking at the number 3 board, getting in on the 1 board, and then once again powering down all the way to the start finish straight. And there we go, that completes a lap of Laguna Seca for this lap time challenge. And whilst unfortunately that wasn't my overall fastest lap, those 2 were penalised, and unfortunately I did lose around about 6 to 7 tenths on that fastest lap there, but you'll get a basic idea of how to handle this car and handle this course. Unfortunately, on the surface I feel this would have just been a much better one if they just used the default car and the standard setting for it. Adding racing hards onto a very, stock version of a road car just doesn't feel quite right, and unfortunately it just ruins the driving experience for this one, to the point where I got so frustrated driving it that I just completely rage quit, which is something I don't really do in GT7. What I am interested in is how you guys found it down in the comment section below. Are you managing to get along with it? Do you think the car feels good? For me, like I said, it just feels completely off and just unnatural to the car itself. I feel like just a customizable suspension here would have made it feel much better overall. But again, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys. Peace.